I'm Alan Weiss, and this is The Writing on the Wall. Welcome back to Writing on the Wall. This episode is called The Fitting Room. Have you ever been in one of those fitting rooms where they have mirrors that enable you to see parts of you you can't otherwise see? And maybe some of us, thankfully. You ever been in that situation? Suddenly you see these things? The trouble is some of our behaviors we can't see. We need a fitting room. We need these mirrors for our behavior. When I was last in Nantucket in August, we were at a very high-end restaurant, tiny space. And so we're all packed together, and there's a table for four next to us. And these were people who looked to be in their late 40s, professional people, speaking about intelligent subjects, and so forth and so on. I mean, people I wouldn't mind meeting. But the guy right next to me is pushing his rice on his fork with his fingers, and then licking his fingers. And I thought maybe it was just an exception, but then he did that with salad, and he did it with his main course, and so forth and so on. And so he continually pushed his fork into the pile of food scraped up by his fingers, ate, and then licked his fingers. That's appalling. I'm sorry. It's appalling. He needs to be shown those behaviors. For some reason, his wife has chosen not to. And his friend next to him has chosen not to. I almost did. We see well-dressed, educated people making these mistakes all the time. And we see everyone making mistakes like that all the time. A woman comes over. I was talking to a colleague at a conference. And we were obviously removed from people. We had gotten a couple of chairs in a remote corner, and we were in very serious conversation. You didn't have to be Sherlock Holmes to tell this. And it was an important topic. And I see a woman approaching from 30 yards away, dead set on us like a guided missile. And we're both ignoring her. I see her peripherally, and she finally shows up at our remote corner and she says, "Excuse me, I don't mean to interrupt, but," and she asks a question that could have waited for another 6 hours. And my colleague said to me, "I don't mean to interrupt, but," of course you are. That's what you're doing. You're deliberately interrupting. Those are behaviors that need changing. I had a new investment advisor with my primary bank, and they took us to dinner, two of them, and which was very nice, at a good restaurant. And he spent the entire time at dinner talking about himself, the entire time. And at the end, when I asked him about his reaction to some of my investment plans now at my age, he said, right, I'll send you some things. And then a week later, I got in touch with him. I said, "I haven't received anything." He said, "I'll send it to you," and still nothing. And I called his boss, who I had met previously, and I said, "No good." And now I have a new investment advisor. So not only did he lose my particular business, but I'm sure that's a black mark in his boss's eye. These are behaviors that have to be explained to people in the right mirrors. And his boss said to me, "We have some learning to do. Give me some time with him." I walked into a Cadillac dealership some time ago to look at an Escalade. We were looking for a new SUV. I call them the truck. And there was no one in the dealership because it was the middle of the afternoon. And I pulled up in the Bentley, parked it right in front of the glass windows, and my wife and I walked in. And we looked at a couple of models, and nobody came over to us. Four guys, off in a corner chatting, two of them sitting on desks. They noticed us. No one came over. And so we never did buy a Cadillac. Maybe we wouldn't have anyway, but at least one of them had the chance to sell us one, right? Somebody needs to explain those behaviors to them. I'm trying to set up a new train layout. I'm buying a space, because it won't fit in my home anymore, for my model train layout. I'm going to have professionals set it up. Now, this is a pretty big job. And I talked to a guy who advertised. So he spends the money on advertising. And I told him I'm looking to do this. And he spent the next 30 minutes telling me how expensive it was. And telling me that this is what it costs, this is what the phases cost, this is why they're better than anyone else. Now, I'm already on the phone with him. And I was asking him for some kind of a proposal. And if he needed a deposit to do the layout design, which I could understand, I'd be happy to send it. I had already done it with one other firm. But no, he kept telling me how they were the best and how it was expensive and I have to prepare for this. And I said, "Well, will you send me what I need now. He'd say, okay, yeah, and I never got anything. This isn't an occupation for this guy. It's like a hobby, I guess. But he's never going to amount to anything doing that. So what mirrors are you using for your blind spots? Are you asking for solicited feedback from people whom you trust? Are you journaling what you do and going back and reading the journals? I have a coaching client who just specializes in providing journaling for people electronically. Are you recording what you do and watching the recordings or listening to the recordings? Are you getting the coaching you need? What are you doing to create your own mirrors to see behaviors you might not otherwise see? Not everyone will tell you that you have lettuce in your teeth. They should. It's a courtesy. I'd want someone to tell me. I'd tell you. But you know, those who don't tell you, they don't listen to you. They just keep staring at the lettuce. The valet at one of these restaurants here turns my automatic lights off at night. So the automatic setting, which controls the lights, is off and there are no lights on. So I pulled out the other day, not realizing that my lights were off completely, and someone flashed their high beams to let me know that my lights were off. I really appreciated that. I try to do that for other drivers. That's a nice way to learn that something's happening that shouldn't be. And so you need to correct that. So who can help you? Who can help you who's holding their silverware correctly? Who can help you who you trust and who trusts that if they give you good feedback like that, you can use it? Most dogs, of course, don't have blind spots, but then again, they can see their own tails.